In part 2, the 1894 coordinates led me into Lisbon's Roman galleries. Down there, the mystery stopped being historical. It became personal. The tour group vanished. Their screams didn't just stop, they thinned out, like they'd been erased from the audio track. I was left alone with one clue, an unfinished chalk line, and an anonymous message, "Finish it." On my phone, the map kept repeating the same sentence, 1894, 7 days. The new coordinate pulled me deeper, beneath the Tagus River, into a place the city had tried to forget. I wasn't looking for a secret anymore. I was looking for a breach. At the bottom of the rusted stairs, I found the metal hatch stamped with the year 1894. It wasn't an entrance. It was a seal, and it was failing. The hatch didn't open, but the air changed when I got close. Heavy, cold. Sound died a foot before it reached the metal. 6 burned marks circled the center, and where the 7th should have been, a smooth, perfect circle. The crack started right there. Like absence was more corrosive than rust. From the other side I heard a low grind, old gears trying to wake up, and the smell of burned paper with no fire. I didn't need to see a face to know something was there. I only had to see what it did to me. When the crack breathed, my memories began to fail. Not pain, silence, my mother's face, the name of my first love, turning into static. That's when the chalk line made sense. Finish it wasn't a threat. It was an instruction, a template. My hand shook as I grabbed the chalk and drew a circle around the hatch, not to open it, but to keep the breach from growing. Tomás Vale's journal wasn't a report. It was a confession. He wrote that the hatch had once been sealed with 7 marks, a celestial contract, but someone tampered with the lock, erasing the 7th seal, and with it, the memory of the person who did it. That's why the crack existed. It wasn't damage, it was absence. At the bottom of Vale's satchel was an unmarked notebook. Vale called it the anti-book, a ledger that doesn't keep words, only the spaces where words used to exist. Whatever had been erased from the metal wasn't gone. It had migrated here. I knew what I had to do. Vale left me one line I couldn't shake. The correction demands the erasure of the source. If the seal had been removed from the world, I'd have to recreate it, with something the world accepted as real. I opened the anti-book to the blank page. I started reciting everything I remembered about myself. My full name, the street where I grew up, the first person who ever called me by my last name. It felt like trying to hold water in my hands. The memories obeyed, but they were desperate to escape. I pressed the page onto the smooth circle of the hatch. The metal pulled the paper in like it was hungry. Sound died completely. Not silence, but like the concept of noise had been switched off. I waited. The first thing to return was the smell of heated metal. When I opened my eyes, the smooth circle was gone. A new design had been burned into it, a fresh scar stitching the crack shut. The 7th seal. The hatch clicked. The breathing stopped. On my phone, the screen flashed once. Case closed, Lisbon archived. Above ground, Lisbon looked normal. But when I tried to say my full name, there was a blank space in the middle of it. A last name my mouth still knew, but my memory couldn't reach. I sealed the breach, and I paid with a piece of myself. Back at the bureau, I filed the anti-book and the map in the same box. On the spine, I wrote the word the bureau uses when it wants to stop asking questions. Archived. As I closed the lid, I noticed something new on the edge of the anti-book. A mark like a page number that was never meant to exist. It was 2 digits, 47. The next morning, an envelope was waiting on my desk. No official stamp, just a tiny compass rose. Inside was a black and white photograph of a building in New York, and on the back, 2 words. Don't forget. Lisbon was archived, but someone, somewhere, had already started writing the next case.